The thing I don't like about the sorry guys,
Alrighty, we are
cleaning my
live.
lens there. The thing that I don't enjoy about the Facebook iPhone situation is it's does like this facial smoothing. Don't look I don't look real. I look like a plastic human being. All right, here comes Jaime.
We're going to get started in
What's
2 seconds, folks. Thanks so much for joining us.
Let's
Alrighty.
volume down.
Whoa.
Jaime's in volume.
Oops.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing. Volume's down now.
Awesome. How's everybody?
Hello, everyone. All right, tell us where you're coming in from. Today we're talking about Facebook ads at work. I was
Yeah.
about to, I was about to say Facebook leads at work, and I was like, what? That doesn't make any
Well, they all
sense.
work.
They
You
all
call
work.
them.
All leads work. Yeah, if you
That
exactly if you call
100%
it.
conversion rate, like that one marketer told us like this was a while back, but you had to educate them on how that's not possible.
Yeah. Also qualified leads, whatever that means to most marketers. Um, Marketers, if you watch this, we love you, but also got to work on your terminology. Those of you who are watching, before we get the podcast really started, tell us if you've seen an ad or somebody that has said, "I'll get you 25 qualified leads." Jaime, can you, Jaime? I don't think we can hear you.
Oh,
Your
because I'm
sound
not
seems to be up.
speaking. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go. Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
All right.
Yeah. So those of you who are watching, tell us if you've seen those ads or somebody's account that says 25 qualified leads per month, and then define what qualified means to you versus what it means to a marketer. Really interested in seeing people's comments on this particular statement. But anyway, those of you who are coming in, also let us know where you're tuning in from. And Jaime, you want to introduce everybody if you're ready to tell them what we're talking about today?
Yeah. Well, welcome to the Agent Lead Source Podcast, episode 32. We are discussing paid ads that actually work for real estate lead generation. We're covering the ads, the exact ad copies that you need to be running in your business today in order to generate conversations, in order to generate real estate leads that are meaningful and will actually get you business. So none of this nonsense of, hey, here's an email and that's a lead. No, that's not a lead. That's just an email. So
Yeah.
these are ads that are actually working in the space right now. So that is something that we really wanted to bring to the table right now because we understand that you're running ads at the moment. Whether you should be or not, that's a different question. But you are running ads at the moment, and we really want you to maximize that opportunity because, as we know, just based off of something that was published this past week, there's more real estate agents than houses for sale
Yeah.
today, and that's a
Yeah.
real thing. Did you read that, Joseph?
I did read that. And it depends on the market too, but I think most markets are probably that way. We had our mastermind call this morning with our agents that have full-time virtual assistants. And some of them have 4 days on the market remaining. Some of them have 0 days on the market remaining. I think Las Vegas might be one of the few, and maybe Louisiana, that have longer than a month of inventory available. But yeah, for the most part, there are more real estate agents than there are actual homes available. So imagine that now being competition.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy. So I suspect one of the questions that's going to come up. Well, let's go. Let's not suspect. So we have an audience. As you're listening into the Agent Lead Source podcast, I think we already know the answer and we are going to address it. But what type of leads are you looking for today? Are you looking for investor leads, buyer leads, seller leads, wholesale leads? What are you looking for with your advertising? Because we're going to run, as we're doing the pre-show, we have an answer for all of them that are working right now in the market. So we still want to hear from you. So let us know if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, what type of leads are you coveting right now? So feel free to
Yeah.
drop that in the chat.
Also, let us know in both locations, Facebook as well as YouTube, if you can hear us okay. Make sure there's no echo. I know we sometimes forget to ask for that, just to make sure that everything sounds nice and clean so you can hear exactly the info that we're going to be dishing today.
I dig it. I dig it. All right. So for the purposes of today, what we're going to stick to is Facebook. Now, whenever we're speaking about Facebook, we might deviate into Instagram. Understand that sometimes the campaigns, the ads that we're talking about are going to play in both spaces relatively nice, but we want to focus on the Facebook side of things at the moment. Now, if you have a question about Google ads, YouTube ads, we can certainly address that, but understand that that's advertising as well. But then we
Mhm.
also need to break down and really elaborate on landing pages, on keyword, all that stuff, which we're not going to do in this particular podcast unless the need arises. So we're trying to stay on track with Facebook. So jumping right into it, we have to go back to the well. And I think we're at 32 episodes of the Agent Lead Source podcast, and we have yet to fail mentioning new construction, so new builds. So this actually is right up our alley, Joseph.
Yeah.
Take that away.
Yeah. So I think, as we talk about new construction, every time we talk about new construction, especially in today's hot sellers market, if you will, that's one place that you can go to and run ads for and bring in a plethora of buyers. Because, as one of the agents that I talked with this morning said, she said, even with the things being the way they are, it seems like people have FOMO, all right, fear of missing out. So if you can generate or create ads that are attractive, you're going to get lots of buyers. Now I know everybody's like, I'll put my buyers aside. I want sellers, blah, 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 blah. Right. But you have this, if you can build your buyers list and database to a really strong point using these type of ads, people are going to be so excited because they don't want to think. I'll say this, Jaime, it's like the stock market. Everybody starts investing in the stock market whenever the hype is there, right? So it's the same thing for the real estate market. Most agents in their minds are thinking, well, these buyers are going to be scared to buy right now because it's a seller's market. No, they're not, ladies and gentlemen. There's a shortage in inventory for a reason, because buyers are still buying. So when we talk about new construction, that is the shiny thing that the people who fear that they're missing out want. They want new construction, right? And of course, you'll have people that want resale and things like that. But for the most part, that's the thing that drives, especially first-time home buyers, people who are downsizing and people who are looking to upgrade, is that, oh, I didn't know that house was available. That house looks amazing. Or I didn't know these houses or this neighborhood had homes available. And you start running that new construction ad, you're going to bring in a lot of people. And even if they can't buy today, your database is going to be so full of buyers whenever things somewhat, I don't know if we want to call it cool off, but shift a bit, right? You're going to have the buyers ready to go, right? So just keep that in mind whenever we talk about these type of ads. New construction is by far the shiniest object that you can put in front of a buyer right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And several things that to kind of expand upon that, several things that you mentioned, that move up buyer, that downsize buyer. Well, what does that imply? Well, that implies that they have a home. So there you're talking about either helping them keep their home, or most of the time is selling the home that they're in. So there you're
Yeah.
talking about two transactions. So don't miss out. And this is something that even from the buyer side, I feel like sometimes we, you know, are too good for buyers at this point. But well, guess what? A good amount of buyers also have a home. So there you're, if you're really only focused on the listing side, that's fine. That's the holy grail of real estating. But at the end of the day, don't forget that buyers do have homes for sale as well. Not everybody is renting before they purchase. So just be
Yeah.
aware of that. And that's something that sometimes we overlook. We're in desperation looking for that listing, but we
Yeah.
understand that listing and seller leads are more expensive. We understand that those are more expensive to get. And then we letting go of the opportunities for us to have conversations with buyers that have a sphere that we can tap into, that generally costs less, that may have a home for sale. So there you have a lot of other people that you can speak to, as opposed to for every seller that you get to speak to, you can speak to at least 10, and I'm being conservative,
Yeah.
buyers. Is that a
Yeah.
fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Actually, I'll tell you an example. Those of you who are watching right now, and obviously Jaime, we're on the call this morning, one of the agents said his VA does a lot of the lead generation and stuff for him, and she generated a lead. the lead bought, I don't know how much the house was. It was in Colorado, so there's like nothing less than 400,000 there, right? But that person, we're talking about buyer lead generation right now. Um, that person also referred their dad, whose house closes in April, in the exact same neighborhood. So two houses from one buyer lead, right? And so that's just one example. I'll give you another example myself, right? So if I am looking, so we have a house that's in Georgetown, Texas, and we've been considering selling that house. Why? Not because we want to take the money and cash out, because we want to buy two different houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that house is worth the amount that it's worth now. I can sell it and then buy two different rental properties. So now we're diversifying. We're still in real estate, but we're diversifying where our income is coming from, right? Same thing goes for if you're running a new construction ad and you're getting these buyers in, as Jaime said, some of them will be homeowners, which are then sellers, right? So you can almost come out of some of these deals with 2 to 3 transactions, right? So you have to really think about that process and saying, well, I don't want buyer leads because they're going to be, they just can't buy anything. Reality is they might be a seller who just needed the right ad to be in front of them, show them the right house, show them the right neighborhood where homes are available, right? So just really, as you think about that, you have to shift your mindset a little bit. And so these buyer ads, I don't know if we want to go into copy or anything like that, Jaime, but these buyer ads, if done properly, can generate some really high income. And if this makes sense, make sure you let us know in the comments, or if you have questions, make sure you let us know in the comments as well.
Yeah, no. So I think with and those are all awesome points. That's everything that you're providing this context as to why, as opposed to just what hearing like, oh, well, new construction, let's move on. No, providing context, it's that's really where the devil's in the details, and it really gives you a big, it starts giving you different perspectives. There's some things that Joseph and I are not going to mention either because we haven't really thought about it, or just we do have other categories to touch on the podcast, but it's going to inspire you and trigger a different way of marketing. Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. I have this builder
Yeah.
friend and all this other stuff. You get to get that ball rolling. So that's the beauty about podcast and long form, that not only do we get to expand upon strategies that we couldn't possibly communicate any other way effectively, but it
Yeah.
also gives you the opportunity to take the ball and run with it. So
Yeah.
from the point of the ad copy, we can certainly get into the ad copy. Considering that that is more visual, then you're just going to have to DM Joseph or myself, and we're going to give you all the ad copies there. So that would probably be the most effective way. So if you want to DM Joseph or myself, or if you want you can email me and I'll forward you the emails. Joseph, just admin@jaimeresendez.com. And then RVAs, well, RVAs will take care of the rest. But as
Yeah.
far as getting a little bit more granular with the new construction, the elements that you're tapping into is that new aspect. You're tapping into, it's something that any builder that has intelligence, which most of them do, is going to say, absolutely, advertise. You go do an open
Yeah.
house, go do something for me. You mean I don't have to pay you unless you sell a house, so we both benefit? Sign
Yeah.
me up. Why? Unless they are just silly, unless they don't understand how they get paid, nobody's going to reject you. So when we're talking about running ads for new construction, we're talking about leveraging the property and displaying all the benefits of new construction. So one of the ad copies that's highly effective is highlighting all the benefits of buying new, the home
Yeah.
warranties, that is huge. The helping with closing costs, that is huge. Title policy, that generally is paid by the builder and in resales as well. So it's not necessarily too much. Well, maybe
Yeah.
not
Buyers
now,
don't know that.
but
Most buyers don't know that though.
exactly.
So it's no highlight. Yeah.
Most buyers do not know that. And a lot of buyers, they're not being told. And I guess I kind of have to get on the agents here a little bit, because they're not being told that new construction is even a thing or available.
Yeah.
And we can if we want, but I don't necessarily want to get into the reasons why. But they're not being shared. I know when I bought my house, when I was looking, my agent, it seemed like, hopefully he doesn't listen to the podcast. I still think you're amazing, Bob. But I felt that there's that hesitancy to go look at new. And I bought a house. It was awesome. It was great. It was a fantastic palace. But at the end of the day, there's that, even from a consumer standpoint, before I got into it, there's that resistance. So the more that you educate on the front end on, this is a type of home warranties that you can receive. These are the closing costs, and this is, you can select any floor plan you want. If that lot doesn't work, well, what about the lot next to it? So a lot
Yeah.
of different aspects that go into it.
Yeah, no, as we talk about new construction, it's by far my favorite form of mailbox money, right? Um, and I say that because you go do the work, you do the upfront work, and then from there you're just doing check-ins with your buyer and with the builder or the on-site that's working for the builder. And the builder's on-site does a lot of the work for you, and as that should be. Now you're there to facilitate the deal, but they're the ones taking care of the entire transaction and keeping the buyer informed on what's going on with the property, because they're the professional for that builder. You're the professional facilitating the deal. And so that's why it's my favorite form of mailbox money, if you will, because that money is going to come in once the house is done. Actually, one of the agents this morning, one of the things they said, Jaime, was this buyer, the first buyer that came in, they came in and we looked at a house, and it was a new construction, and that house was going to be ready. The whole deal from start to finish, because the house was a spec house, if you will, closed in I think he said 45 days, right? So within
Mm.
45 days, found a buyer, found a really nice house. They closed on that new construction deal because the house was sitting there. It was ready to go. Nobody had bought it yet. And, so again, if you will, that's like 45-day mailbox money, right? Now, most of these are going to be 3, 6, they have to build out now. So it's going to be 6 to 12 months, but still imagine, 6 months from now, we're getting close to Christmas and you got these nice big checks coming into your mailbox, right? If you will, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's huge. That's huge. Joseph, I think this is a good little pause here. So there's some questions coming through on several channels. So here on one of our Facebook groups regarding paid ad, and this is Alina, our mutual friend Alina.
Sure.
Regarding paid ads, if I was investing $2,500 a month, where would you invest and in what percentages across Google, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram?
Mm. You want me to answer that one first?
Yeah, take a crack at it.
Okay. So if you're spending $2,500 a month, one thing that you're going to have right is the actual ad creation, not just the
Mhm.
copy, but the actual formats of the ads. You can't go create a Facebook ad and expect it to perform well on YouTube. You can't go create a Facebook ad and expect it to perform well on Instagram. Each of these types of ads needs to be different. YouTube obviously needs to be a type of video. Facebook can be static if you want it to be static. And then Instagram, I would obviously, if I'm doing that, I want it to be a very high quality image or a very short, catchy video to get people's attention. As far as ad spend is concerned, if I'm looking to do ad spend behind each of these items, the first thing that I'm going to do, me personally, I know that the majority of people that I'm going to be looking at are going to be on Facebook and YouTube. So I would
Mm.
spend the majority of my money on those two locations. Again, making sure that your ad is going to be high quality. And then Instagram would actually be my third, right? Now, the question is, what type of ads are you going to run? So, Alina, if you're running lead form ads for specifically for Facebook and Instagram, that's what I would actually do. So we can get automated information and then set up some automated systems on the back end so that things can be, because if you're spending $2,500, you should be getting, let me do some quick math. I'm at 2,500 divided by 5 at a minimum. You should be generating 500 leads per month, right?
Minimum.
Um, and so you want to make sure that's a heck of a lot of leads to keep up with. So if you don't have a team behind you, you may, I don't know, following up with those leads, then you need to make sure you have your automated system set up. So Elena, hopefully that answered your question. Jaime, I don't know if you want to answer your way.
No, I think that that's all right. The only thing that I would caution is how you started. What are you presenting? What's your offer? So I would invest a lot of money, and that is a lot of money in, for what you're looking to achieve, in getting the offer right. Are people going to move for a calculator? Are people going to move for a checklist? Are people going to move for whatever? Getting your offer right. So that's on the offer side. But even taking a step further back, what I would invest in is getting as much engagement as possible from the front end, getting as much visibility so then I can retarget them later. So that would mean running a video views ad where you're going to be like, well, where did this agent come from? It's like, she's absolutely everywhere. And I believe your husband, I think y'all work in tandem if I remember correctly, but when we're looking at building that brand presence, that is something that I think is very important. So those would be the two items. I would invest a heck of a lot of money in that brand presence, and then getting that getting that getting that offer right, because at that point it just becomes, how can I get in front of more people for less money? And at that point you already have that ad that is converting, or that offer that's actually converting. So then
Yeah,
as once you've solved for both of those, then it just becomes a game. How can I get in front of more people for less money? Because it's
correct.
converting on the back end.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Yeah, conversion becomes the second part of it for sure, right? There are steps to it, and so step one, is my ad generating leads. Step two, are my leads being followed up with, and then you take it from there. So Alina, again, we hope we answered your question in as much detail as possible.
She said, thank you, Joseph, and even put that emoji. There you
My
go.
pleasure.
There you go. Oh, and then she complimented me on my memory.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's the first compliment I've gotten. Notice that it wasn't for my advice. No, it wasn't for my knowledge.
Oh man, you're a trip, dude.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
man.
I'm always fishing for compliments. Hey, so I
Yeah.
see you over here. What you got going on with Tammy in the
Yeah.
most
So
respectful way?
yeah,
Let me put context to that
if my
in
wife
the
ever watches
Facebook
this,
group.
make sure you watch the rest of this. Um,
Oh, I'm clipping this. I'm sending it straight to her.
what you got going on with Tammy? All
So
right. So
Tammy asked a
Tammy,
question in the Facebook group. Go.
yeah. So Tammy asked a question in the Facebook group. She says, "I'm getting people to click on my ad, but it's not converting over as a lead. How do I fix or improve that?" So you were talking, Jaime, I was trying to multitask because men are not great at that, but I was doing my best. Um, so her leads are not converting. She's running a conversion ad. And so my
Mm.
thing is, it kind of falls into what you were saying to Alina about ads converting. If you're running an ad and it's not converting, turn it off. One, especially if you've been running it for 5-10 days and you're getting zero leads. Conversions are what I would call the higher level of running Facebook ads, because that is going out and learning. Reality is, you can run lead ads right now and any other type of lead generation ad. They're going to start doing conversions automatically, to be honest with you. In most cases, unless you're running like ecom, then you got that's a whole nother ball game. But conversions are typically for higher level Facebook ads. If your ad is not generating leads through conversions, my suggestion, number one, switch it to lead form ads, because those are typically automated. Whenever somebody clicks on it, they just submit their information and you get the information pretty quickly. And if that's not getting leads, then my other thing I told Tammy was, make sure that you go change your ad copy, make sure you change your offer, etc., because that means that your offer is not drawing people in to want to get them to click. And so that could be the actual root of the problem, but you won't know until you try lead forms. I would say post your ad here, but I don't know if you want everybody to see it. And obviously people in the podcast won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
So Jaime, I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to dive into that.
So on that aspect, the only thing that I would caution on that would be, well, it's not even caution, but just more of a tip. Whenever you are changing things, make sure that you're changing one thing at a time and controlling your variables. If you go out and switch the image, the ad copy, the call to action, the X, Y, and Z, it may work. Great, awesome. But what did it? Was it the ad copy? Was it the image? Was it the
Yeah.
call to action? So that's the only thing that I would suggest on that front, but everything else is spot on.
Yeah. You just have to, you have to take it step by step. And I mean, again, it depends. Whenever it comes to these ads, Tammy and anybody else is watching this, it's all about the psychology of giving people what they want, not what you think they want. And so you need to figure out what that is. So there's a lot of marketers who will actually teach you to go out and do research, and research is done live by asking people, hey, what would you like? Would you rather have a free PDF or a video explaining how to increase your home value? Right. So you can go out and ask your local Facebook groups what what they want, and that tells you what to create. Right. Because then the rest of the market may be very similar to that.
Boom, 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 boom. Folks, this is a great time to remind you that if you're listening on the podcast, a 5-star review goes a long way. Today, we're covering paid ads that are actually working. We just discussed a little bit about new construction. So we're getting ready to, in that part of the ad copy or the ad category, we're going to go into the next one. So now would be a fantastic time to drop a 5-star review. If you're joining us live, we do this on Thursdays, give or take 8 to 10 p.m. Just depends.
Roughly
But
around that.
just
Roughly
hang
around
around.
that time.
Just hang around. Whenever we open the door, you can come in. We've all been to those clubs. Don't even front. But when it comes to those that are joining on the live stream, thank you so much. Really do appreciate you. We're going on Facebook and YouTube. A like is going to go a long way. It's going to feed the algorithm and get notifications into other individuals that need to hear this message. So don't be selfish. Share the message with other individuals. I would say there's plenty of commission to go around, but given last week's statistic, there isn't. So be sure that you're the one that gets it. It
Oh man,
starts with
that's
a good
hilarious.
heart, then I just get too sassy, and then sorry. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Hey, do you want to hit them with some
there
seller
there
leads, Joseph?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and roll into seller leads. So Jaime and I were talking about this before we actually started the podcast, and I was telling Jaime, a lot of agents have become cynical when it comes to running home valuation ads. But in this time, in this atmosphere that we're in, with a shortage of homes, you can't tell me that there are people that haven't gotten their home value and have wanted it and considered it whenever they see these houses flying off the market for 50, 100, if you're in California, $500,000 over asking, and not wondering what their home value is. You would almost be a fool to not run that type of ad, right? And try to generate some home value leads. I'm not going to say they're all going to convert, but what I can tell you is it's worth the money to find out if you can pop a seller here or there that is interested in knowing their home value. If you're smart, and hopefully most of you are that are watching this, and if you're not, that that, but whatever, you can talk to your parents about that. I love you, but but if you're
How do we
smart,
still
your
have an
follow up.
audience, Joseph? I thought I insulted them, and then you go out and insult them even
Oh
more.
man.
Drop
Oh
a
man.
5-star
But
review and then hit that like button. But keep going.
yeah.
This is going great.
But if you take it to the next level, your follow up on these home value leads should be very poignant. And what I mean is, the lead comes in, and the conversation, typically if you're sending them to an automated system, should be, hey, look, the value that you got was generated through our automated system. The only way to really know is if you've updated anything recently, or if the home needs updates. I would love to get on a phone call with you. Let me know what's a good time to chat with you, so I don't bother you while you're at work or having dinner with a family. Sending out a text message like that, or an email. Or you can say, if you're ready for the next step, I can come by and we can talk about a listing strategy or selling strategy, right? So you want to make sure that you take that next step and assume the sell once you get the home value lead. I think the thing a lot of people do is they send these long paragraphs and all these things. Remember, keep it simple, get to the point that you're trying to get them to, and see if they're even interested. And by the way, if you're not interested, no obligation. I'm still going to get you a very accurate home valuation, right? So that's my belief in today's atmosphere, today's market, with a shortage of inventory. There's no reason not to run a home valuation report ad, if you will, to start getting people in the door, right? Because then you can take further steps, which I'll talk about probably later in another podcast that we talked about. So
Yeah, no, that's huge. And kind of taking one step back when it comes to the new I'm taking a big step back to new construction. I'm taking a step back to 30 minutes ago. No, when it comes to the valuation ads, one of the things that's going to get that click, that engagement, that desire for somebody to actually want to take a peek, if you will, is you piquing their curiosity.
Yeah.
So what that means is going based off of case studies. You can do a mini case study right on the ad copy itself. And it's been one of the most effective ads that we've run in many markets, sharing a real life example of something that happened in their market. So if it's Dallas, Seattle, Miami, wherever, just illustrating, hey, the homeowners in Miami, the homeowners in downtown Miami, whatever, they they received multiple offers, they sold in days, and they sold for $50,000 more. Notice that at no
Mm.
point did I say the price or the value of your of the entire market has gone up for 50%. Is that true in some markets? Sure. Now, do those ad copies work? They can, and they work in certain aspects. But
Yeah.
this is a different way of presenting the same information, but in a more tangible way, in a more direct way, because then you're talking about what can actually happen for the homeowner, as opposed to speaking in the ether, if you will. Now you're being specific.
Mhm.
You're being specific on
Yeah.
something that happened down the street for Miss Becky, down the street for Mr. Joe. That's tangible. People can actually feel that. They don't know what 20% over the year over year numbers. They don't know what that means, because they don't even have
Yeah.
anything to peg it to. So it's going to bring that curiosity to the forefront, and that's how you get the click. That's how you get into. You're talking about earlier today. We're talking about the valuation companies that do that automatically, which is a great starting point to your earlier point. So that's how you create curiosity to your actual call to action.
Love it. Yeah, case studies are big, right? For marketers, case studies are big for any company. That's why a lot of these companies will actually show you, here's so and so, and they were able to accomplish so and so after working with us, right? You can do the same thing for a neighborhood. Let's say you're farming a neighborhood, right? And you can say, um, click here to see the houses that sold in your neighborhood, or click here to see the homes that sold in your zip code, right? And so then what you do is you send them to the website. You can take static images of the homes that have sold from whatever brokerages, make it a mini MLS, if you will. And then on that same page, you can put a button that says, get your home valuation, right? And so the idea, as Jaime said, is that you can, if you don't even have your own case studies, you can use somebody else's case study, right? And the case studies in this example are people's homes, or real estate agents' homes that have sold in the different. Sorry, Jaime, my messenger's blowing up. Let me try to mute it here. Mute conversation. Um, you can use other people's homes or real estate agents' homes that have sold in that area, and use that as the bait to pull people in. It's like, here are the homes that have sold for the last 14 days, especially since things are moving so fast. And then you can say these homes may affect your home price, so you should probably take a look, right? And so they can go look at those homes and be like, oh, my house is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. That house right down the street, I know whose house that is. That house sold. I didn't know James, who I went to a tequila party with, sold their house for 300,000 or 500,000, whatever that number is. I thought my house was only worth 400,000, and here it is $100,000 more, and they can see that with their own eyes, right?
Yeah.
And if you really want to get into the weeds on each of those houses, you can just put a description like sold in amount of days, sold for X more, right? And then on that same page, because you're a smart agent, you put a Facebook pixel so that you can run another ad in front of their faces, and they know who you are because they've come to your website. If you put a video or anything like that talking to them, it's like, hey, down below, you're going to see the list of homes that have sold in your neighborhood or in whatever zip code, or in your neighborhood or your zip code. I've also put a link here on the website so you can get your own home valuation. And no obligation, it's free, and enjoy taking a look to see what your house could sell for. And then you pixel them, they either get the home valuation or they don't, and then you follow them. You run another ad. It's like whatever your home's worth, how to increase your home price, how to sell your house faster, whatever ad you want, but it's with your face. And so now they're making this recognition, right? Facial recognition with you. And so that is one way to also increase your conversions on those seller leads by using quote unquote case studies.
That's so good, folks. If we don't get a hearts up or a thumbs up, I don't know how your hearts up, but if we don't get a thumbs up for that, then we're gonna shut down the podcast forever. You're cut
The
off.
hearts do go up though whenever they click on it. It goes.
Oh, this is true. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So let's get some likes going because I'm feeling my ego. I'm feeling my oats right now.
Getting in your feelings, bro. Don't get in your feelings, bro.
It's like, well, man, I'm trying to sell this podcast and I don't even have a sponsor yet. Trying to get that Joe Rogan money, folks. That's what we're doing this for.
That Joe Rogan Monet.
Yeah, no, that is so good. That is so good. And we're about to get into here's where a lot of the value comes into play outside of the things that we kind of talk about in the pregame and the pre-show preparing for you folks. Just in the conversation, Joseph and I really kind of have a friendly rivalry, if you will, of, well, if you think that's good, watch this. And that's where the value comes into play, where we make good. Yeah, we make a living. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
We make a good living. We'll just say that. But then a lot of that information, just goes to individuals that pay us. Let's just be real. But with the podcast, what you're getting is the unfiltered, and sometimes our friendly rivalries kind of take over. So this is me prepping up to something that is going to be gold.
I feel a home run coming.
Here we go.
I can't swing in my chair very well, but that would be a home run.
Get that Venmo app on. Get that on your phone right now, because I'm going to send it to you.
I wish I had the hold on. I mean, I wish I had the button that it was like cha-ching, cha-ching, so that I could hit it, multiple times, kind of like Kramer does on his investing show.
Mad Money. Yeah.
Yeah, we need those things. Anyway, go ahead. Drop some bombs. Your camera's off, by the way. Just
of course it would.
Just so you know.
But you make so much money, Jaime, but you can't buy a working camera. This is going great, by the way. I'm so glad this is. You would think this is our first podcast.
All right, drop the bomb on them. Let's hear.
Dropping the bomb. I don't mean that, YouTube. Just keep us monetized. The
value bomb.
Reality. No, so when it comes to these types of the strategies that we're talking about, if you want to take them even into a longer game, and I feel fine sharing this because I know that a lot of agents aren't going to take action. So it's not even like we're creating our own competition. But with that being said, if you're taking this into the long game, if you're taking this into your career and building out assets that you can control, I know that we're joking around the podcast here and there and, selling it, if you will. At some point, it will be a sellable product. Right now, it's not. But at some point, we're getting real money for sponsorship. We're getting real money for it being sold. But how you turn something that you're doing already into a longer game is buying up domains of new construction or new developments that are coming up. So the moment that you see 4,000 acres were sold to blank and blank developer, snatch that domain up. Buy that. I was about to say buy that stuff, but buy that quickly. So that is how you take a lot of, this is kind of going back into the new construction strategy. You buy that, but how you apply it here is in your case studies that you were talking about and putting that button up there. You can run ads and get that instant pop. But if you're going out and you have your own domain that you're driving all this traffic to, what's my DallasHomeworth.com? That's probably taken, but that's just a low-hanging fruit of an example that you can do. Yeah. And at some point, you're driving so much traffic that it actually indexes. At some point, you have an asset that people pay you for. Yes, homes.com is not available, obviously. Realtor.com, actually, Realtor is actually trademarked, so it wouldn't be yours anyway.
Don't do that.
Don't do that one. But when it comes to these, there's still opportunities out there, but we need to start thinking about the long game. So that's something that I wanted to bring up here, because the strategy that you just mentioned about the case study and going even beyond that and going beyond that, this is how you can control a larger part of the internet that is something that is an asset that you now own. So
Yeah.
let's start
Yeah.
thinking more into a career. We overestimate what we can do in 1 year as opposed to how much we can accomplish in 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I fall into
Yeah.
that.
No, I think we all do, right? Like a lot of people think short game, short money, right? It's hard to think long term, long money, right? Even like the projects that we're working on right now, the money that we'll make in 3 years will be far surpass what we could ever imagine making, right? If you do it the right way. Um, yeah, I think if you think about some of these things, I'll give you an example of a website that I bought and helped build. I think I've already sold it, but it was Your Next Austin Home, right? Because the reason I did that is because mentally it sets people into a state of, oh, what is my next home? Is my next home in Austin, right? So whenever they visit my website, or whatever, I had the website, I think I sold it already. That particular website would be catered to people who are looking to buy their next home, right? And I actually bought it on behalf of a broker that I was working with, and then I actually assumed that later on whenever I started running my own business. And it was really interesting that people would go to that website and they would be like, oh, I really like the name. My email, I think, is still that. I don't even know what the site says, if it's even up. But um anyhow, yeah, there are ways to capitalize on these things, right?
You know, one that I'm sitting on right now, Joseph, that I haven't done anything with, and I've had it since maybe 3 years now. No, it's probably been
Uh-huh.
4. The DFW homeowner.
Mm,
The
yeah, that's
DFW
probably a good one.
homeowner. And you can take that wherever. You can take that into a podcast. You can take that into, you can put listings if you want.
Yeah.
And there's
Well, you,
ways that you can index that. And we can get into another podcast episode,
yeah,
but just thinking long tail.
yeah. Well, you can run ads to that, right? And whenever you run ads to that thing, your ads match your website, and your website matches your ads. So you have this congruency across the board where all these things start connecting. And so a lot of people, you'll have people like, it doesn't matter what the website name is. And yes, for the most part, it doesn't. But at some point, if you start indexing that and it becomes very popular and somebody comes to you and they want to buy it from you, you put yourself in a very advantageous position, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
depending on the amount of traffic that you have, you can be in a really good spot.
Yeah.
So,
And their last thing we'll
all right.
say about
So,
that, or go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so the one thing I wanted to kind of, at least from my end, just put a bow on that was when it comes to you're building this out. It's I guess it's more re-saying the same thing I said. It's something that you now own. It's something that you now have an asset that you can control. You're not at the mercy of a Facebook ad account. You're not at the mercy of a Google ad account. You're not at the mercy of another platform. It's a little bit harder for you to get kicked out of the entire internet. It's a lot easier for you to get kicked out of social media. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. 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 Whenever you own your own stuff, it's very hard to get kicked out of your own stuff as well. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's go into one more ad, I think, for the people who are watching here, so that they can think about the type of ads that they want to run. The other type of ads that are really popular, especially in today's market, you're not going to find a lot of them, but if you can go and look for reduced price homes in the MLS, or go and look for quote unquote pocket listings, you have to be careful depending on
Yeah.
the board that you're with, but you can say something along those two lines that's going to bring in a lot of interest, specifically the reduced price homes, because in today's market, if a home hits the market, it's going to sell really fast, right? And so if you find one that's reduced price, people are going to be like, oh, can I get a list of those particular homes, because I'm ready to buy a house right now.
Yeah.
Right? You'll probably even have a lot of agents who fill it out, because you can't really exclude them from marketing anymore, but from targeting. But that's going to drive a lot of interest, because people are going to be like, I didn't even know there were still homes available on the market. So if you find a house that is reduced price, or those of you who live in markets that you still have a month plus of inventory, that's going to be a magic ad for you at this point in time.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one. Now, if you want to, I'll say this because I know that our audience is pretty active and is very diligent, or else you wouldn't be listening to a podcast at 10 p.m. Central, and also listening to our podcast, because we do have a loyal following that
Yeah.
does comment. So we really do appreciate y'all. I know that y'all take a beating because we verbally abuse you a lot, but it's all with value and fun. We don't mean half the stuff. Um, when it comes to the price drop, I'm comfortable sharing this with the audience because you're not going to abuse it. If you go to market with that intention of running this particular campaign, there's nothing wrong with dropping the price immediately. So that is
Yeah.
something that if you strategically position that, you can't just say, oh, well, I just put a listing out yesterday, I'm going to drop it 1,000. Well, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
there's different ads and there's different strategies, but if you can communicate to your seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is exactly how we're going to go to market, and after 3 days we're going to do this, because at this point we're going to drive $1,000 of traffic to get people to just flood in here, and we're going to get this property sold for, you're going to get 50 offers this weekend. It's going to be crazy. So if
Yeah.
you can communicate that effectively and not, just completely be shady with it, it's very easy to manipulate this strategy of strategically going down in price very, very quickly if you have a plan. If you're just dropping down in price just because we said that and there's no substance behind that, that's a great way for you to get fired. So
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
don't be doing that.
Yeah.
Just give you a heads up on it. There is a strategy that you can deploy with your own listings, obviously. If there's if there's scarcity, which there is, on those opportunities of there's just no homes.
Yeah. Well, even if the market's hot, right? Or even if it's let's call it an even market, buyer, seller, even, it's a normal market, if you will. So speaking of getting fired, I got fired from a listing. I think it was the only time I've ever got fired, but we all have flaws. And so I had got taken this listing in Austin. It was a couple that needed to sell their house very quickly because they were moving into a new construction house. The timing, they had some family stuff that they were dealing with personally, and I'm not going to mention those things in particular, but they needed to sell the house fast. And I went to the market with normal marketing and normal pricing, what I thought the house was valued at. The house actually sold within a couple $1,000s of that, so I was spot on. But another agent in my office actually got the listing, and so it was really funny because his strategy, and he still uses it to this day. I may not use it right now because of the way things are, but in a normal market, he would actually do exactly what you said. He would say, hey, we're going to list the house below, like 10 to 15% below what it normally would sell for. So before you even put it on the market, they're already reduced the price immediately. So it's not put it on the market and let it fall or bring it down. They actually put it in below market value. And then they would actually wait for a bidding war to happen. And so the bidding war would actually exceed the actual price by whatever number.
Yep.
And that's how he gets most of his listings sold very quickly. And a lot of people don't realize, I've actually asked this question in the larger Facebook groups, and the agents who typically sell lots of houses utilize that strategy. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a broker. I'm just telling you, in a normal market, that strategy is straight fire because I've seen it firsthand, and lost a listing to that strategy in my own office. And so I got to see that agent actually perform that. And, I was happy for him and everything that he accomplished. But, what Jaime is talking about is very, very effective in a normal market. So even if you don't use it today, I would write it down, and put an alarm on your phone to remember that strategy. So that's how you can get some solid listings.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would venture to guess that your friend, because I have you're familiar with Luna G, right? The Philly realtor that has a YouTube channel. If not, it doesn't matter. But Luna is somebody that has a YouTube channel that's her strategy. That is her
Mm-hmm.
strategy, and it's wildly effective. And you're right, agents that do sell a good amount, that do deploy that strategy, that's a way that they keep clean books on to the
Yeah.
next, on to the next. But it's effective. Now, would I want what there is what's important there is if you're the agent that just puts things on the MLS and waits, don't I'll say flat out, don't do that
Yeah.
because Joseph's the illustration. I guarantee that Joseph's friend was not that type of agent because they're actively going out and selling the home. There's a difference between placing it on the MLS and letting it syndicate because there
Yeah.
you're just you're not giving the house away, but you're not giving it the full exposure that is most likely being done by the agent that Joseph mentioned and other agents out there that are have a healthy database that they can push it out, have a healthy marketing plan. So their plan isn't, well, I'm just going to put it on the MLS this afternoon and I'm going to get 2 offers and maybe 3 offers. And then I'm just going to sell this thing. And I left $5,000 on the table because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is not the I guarantee you that's not the strategy that Joseph's friend deployed.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah. Yeah.
effective. It's wildly effective, but
Yeah. No,
don't go out there giving homes away.
yeah, definitely don't want to give them away. I think the math, whenever, and you could probably ask Luna G this too, Jaime. I think the math works out to about 10 to 15% below market, and then let the bidding war start. Again,
Yep.
we're talking about in a normal market, right?
Yep.
And if you're going to have to reduce the price anyway, because the seller's unrealistic, say, hey, look, what's the price you want to get? If we don't meet that price, then we can talk about, and you got to be careful how you talk about commissions. You can't talk real estate to real estate agent about commissions, but we're not talking about a deal right now. But you can say, look, if we don't hit that number, here's what I'll reduce my commission to, and I'll put it in the contract, right? But if I exceed that number, then I deserve that full pricing, right? I deserve my full value for teaching you and putting together a marketing plan and strategy to get you the most money. In the beginning, it may not look like the most money. And by the way, if I don't get that, you can also fire me, right? But my goal is to get you the most money, because if I make you more money, or if I get you more money, I also make more money, right? So
Goals are aligned, baby. Goals are
yeah,
aligned.
exactly. So you align those goals and you're on the same page, and now they know, like, yo, if Jaime can't hit this or Joseph can't hit this goal, I get to keep more of my own money, right? If they can, well, so what? I made more money anyway, right? So it's all about figuring how to make it a win-win for everybody, right?
Folks, you're getting straight fired tonight. Folks, you are getting straight fired. Had I listened to our podcast 4 years ago when I got fired from in the same day by two listings, had I listened to that, had I not gone to market way more than I should have on every single one of those dang houses, I'd have 2 more houses sold. So there you go. That is that's some straight fire. Joseph, I think we're heading straight into the dismount. I don't see, unless anybody has questions, we're going to go straight into the dismount. We do appreciate you dropping by to the Agent Lead Source podcast. Remember, a 5-star review is the highest form of a compliment that you can pay us, and a like is a close second. So really do appreciate you hanging out with us. As far as the dismount goes, I'll start on my end, Joseph. So we're talking about paid lead generation strategies that actually work. I want to encourage you to focus in on one strategy and see it through. I want you to focus on one strategy and see it through for the next 3 months. Just dedicate. I know it's going to be hard, but see this through for the next 3 months. I want you to just focus in on one strategy, whether that's new construction, whether that's the price drop, whether that's the home valuation, whether that's this, that, or the other. See this through and give it at least 3 months to play out. Now, I'm not saying just spend $2,000 this month and next month, the next month. Don't ever look at your ad account. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying select one strategy, split test some images, split test some ad copies, split test some call to actions, do some active work, but in the same strategy. Don't go into Facebook full steam. All right, so Joseph and Jaime gave us this awesome strategy. I'm going to go deploy it. 2 weeks later, guys, did you know that it cost me like $2 to create a podcast? I'm going to go do that. So don't do that. It's just whatever it is, whatever one strategy that you're going to deploy, see it through for at least 3 months and stay consistent with that.
Yeah. 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 I think it's hard for people to stay consistent. I think, and I'll end with this note, kind of along the same lines. It's focus, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think there's a lot of people who would look at Steve Jobs and a lot of his, we'll call them coworkers, if you will, would say that that was the one thing that differentiated him, besides his intelligence, from everybody else, was how focused he was on pushing things through to find the solution that would help them succeed. And so if you can learn to do that, and no matter what business you do, but specifically since we're talking to real estate agents, if you can learn to stay focused for a minimum 2 hours a day, meaning everything's off, meaning nothing's in front of you except the task that you're working on and the thing that you're trying to accomplish, that is 10 hours, 5 days a week. That's 10 hours of pure focus on one particular project, and looking at the data, looking at the information, looking how you can improve that one thing. And you do that for a month. That's 10 hours a week. That's 40 hours. That is 40 hours a month. That is, think about how much you can accomplish with 40 hours. Just think about that at one time. That's 40 hours of dedicated time. If you had that, right, and you do that, you will be able to accomplish so freaking much if you can just take that and put that pure focus on, and do the things that you need to do, which I'm going to be doing here in a minute. I'll be focusing for 2 hours on one particular thing, and then I'll move on to the next thing that I need to focus on. But anyway, that's how I would leave this. I want to dismount this particular thing. Focus as much as you possibly can.
Wham, bam. Folks, thank you so much for joining us to the Agent Lead Source podcast. This has been a fantastic episode that we've been waiting to unveil to you. So now that it's here, a 5-star review goes a fantastic long way. And also, if you're listening on the recording, whether that's Facebook or YouTube, a like is still always acceptable. So thank you so much. And we're going to see you next week.
See you guys next week. Thanks.